Hey, how y'all doing, guys? So I know the series ain't over yet. Um, Game four, the Suns Nuggets series is today, but I wanted to do this type of episode similar to what I did with the first two games of the Clippers Mavs series, where I said the Clippers were down bad and terrible. So yeah, welcome to another episode of series recap. I was originally gonna do one on Friday if the Bucks were to fall down 3-0 because a lot of people were talking about the Bucks and how horrible they've been, but even though they still played horrible, they still won the game, and the Nets didn't even play their best game either. So I didn't feel like that game was worthy enough of a series recap, mainly because of that, and plus, uh, Milwaukee has officially stole a game against Brooklyn. So I'm gonna hold off on that episode. I will do an episode later on the day should the Bucks fall down 3-1, but right now we want to talk about the Suns. So if you see the pun of my title, yes, it's because Denver. They are in a cold environment, and Denver, Colorado is pretty cold there, unless if it's all like shiny in summertime and hot weather like where I'm at in California. But if you notice the pun that it'll be a cold ending in Denver, that's because it is. So if we can go back to the first three games, all those games have been won by double digits. None of the games have been close by any means. And I think the reason for that is because Phoenix is out muscling them and outsmarting them in every way. I think Reggie Miller and some analysts, like I think Richard Jefferson, also pointed this out. There is no offense with this Denver Nugget team outside of Jokic. Now that Jamal Murray's out for the season, they are leaning on guys like Michael Porter Jr., who has been a very key factor, and he's played really well in the first round against Portland, but he really has not played well this series. And I just think that has to do with consistency because MPJ has been getting really decent shots, and he couldn't hit. And you have Facu Campazzo, who has been a great guard to have if you're the Denver Nuggets, but the problem is Facu is a pass first guard. If you're asking him to take it to the rim without passing the ball, he's going to pass the ball almost every single time. So Denver's main offense in this series, from what I've seen, are either guys trying to do too much. Like I've seen Aaron Gordon trying to take pull up long twos instead of get to the rim. And Jokic is basically doing everything. Facu's trying to be the play initiator, but the problem is if you don't have guys that are hitting their shots, then you might as well take it yourself. And plus, like I said, Facu is not going to drive without kicking unless if he has a wide open lane. And one of the main issues with Denver is, like I said, they're not hitting their shots. The last two games, Denver shot a total of 84 threes and only made 28 of them. In game two, they took 43 threes and made 14 of them. And game three, it was basically the same thing, except they took two less threes. Both of them ended up being blowouts. So the problem with Denver is obviously no Jamal Murray because he's basically your consistent 3-point shooter. And they basically have no offense outside of MPJ tough shots. There's no cutters to the basket. Basically, it's running everything through Jokic, which made it easy for the Phoenix Suns to double team him and basically let somebody else beat you. Like at this point, if Monte Morris goes for 28 points while Jokic has 21 points, I think the Phoenix Suns would be perfect. Yeah, the Phoenix Suns would be perfectly fine with that. I don't know why the hell I stopped there. And the issue is not only just offense, their defense has let them down too because you don't have any other reliable defenders outside of Aaron Gordon. And remember, in their run to the conference finals last year when they had to face my team, the Lakers, where they got 5-piece, and obviously when they made their 3-1 comebacks against the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers, ironically, both those teams are playing against each other as we speak. Um, they had a lot of great wing defenders. You had Torrey Craig, who is now on the Suns, and who basically sent a message to Denver that y'all made a mistake for letting me go. You had Jerami Grant, who's now a 20-point per game scorer on the Pistons, and then you trade Gary Harris in order to get Aaron Gordon when I believe they should have traded Will Barton. Now, Will Barton is a good shot creator off the bench, but here's the thing. Monte Morris is basically that true six man. and Will Barton is just, I guess, extra offense or maybe instant offense. But the problem with trading guys like Harris and letting Torrey Craig and Jerami Grant go is that you have no other reliable defenders that can be able to stop Booker in his tracks. Remember, Booker's getting to the paint at will and he's getting any shot he wants. Same with Chris Paul. Jay Crowder's hitting his threes. And the problem is you're asking Aaron Gordon to but actually no, they're not asking Aaron Gordon. Now that you traded Harris, you're leaning on Facu Campazzo and Austin Rivers to be your backcourt defenders. Now, Facu Campazzo, he's a good defender. He's kind of like T.J. McConnell, and I compare T.J. McConnell to like Patrick Beverly with Chris Paul IQ. Facu Campazzo is basically the same way, and he's one top dog. But the problem is he's only 5'11". Now I know he's able to get steals and he's able to be physical. I mean, he did give even though Steph Curry basically became the leading scorer, he tried to play as peskiest as he can. And in this series, he drew a charge on Jay Crowder. But the problem is, like I said, Facu Campazzo's 5'11", and Booker can just easily score over him. Same with Chris Paul. And with Austin Rivers, well, he's Austin Rivers. I mean, do I have to say much? I mean, his dad, who was the coach with the Sixers, literally played him 40 minutes and he scored 8 points one game. And I don't know if Austin played tough lockdown defense because he's a wild card on that end as well. So Austin Rivers is, I guess, Austin Rivers. But going back to what I said about guys like Gary Harris and then Torrey Craig and Jerami Grant, now that you don't have those guys, Aaron Gordon is your only reliable defender. And I also wanted to touch on MPJ as well. MPJ, he's going to be a much improved defender for the years to come, but he's not there yet. And you're allowing him to be switched on Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Yeah, you're asking for trouble every time because teams are hunting down Michael Porter Jr. in the pick and roll for good reason. So MPJ needs to improve on his defensive awareness because he does have the physical tools to become one of the best defenders in our game. Hell, be one of the best team defenders in our game, like a Chris Paul. Chris Paul is 5'11", but he's still considered one of the best team defenders in our league. I think MPJ can be the same way, but it has to be more about his discipline, his focus, and his defensive awareness, and he's just not there yet. He will be, but not yet. So that's my point about the Denver Nuggets and why they are faltering this series. And the worst part of it all is Nikola Jokic is the MVP. He was recently named MVP, and I think he deserved it. He was the healthiest throughout the whole season. Obviously, LeBron wasn't healthy. KD had to miss some time. Same with James Harden. Steph Curry, not only missed time, but his team missed the playoffs. So it was like, and Giannis already won his two, so giving it to him for a third straight year would only just be redundant. And I think someone brought up voter fatigue. So it's like, who the hell else are you going to give it to? Oh, and I also forgot to mention about Denver because I think a lot of people are missing this point. Even if Denver did have Jamal Murray, sure, it would help their cause. I think the series would be a lot closer, but I still would not have Denver win the series because, look, Jamal Murray is mainly an offensive weapon that can help out a lot of holes in this team's offense. But again, offense is not the only issue. Their defense is the primary reason, or you could argue like the point is their defense is one of their main reasons that they are down 0-3 in this series against a really good Phoenix team. Okay, I mean, you look at Gary Harris, Torrey Craig, and Jerami Grant, and you have to say to yourself, if you're the Denver front office, like, man, if we kept those guys, I think we'd be much better off. Because like I said, they're leaning on Facu and Austin Rivers. One who's a pretty good defender at his size but will still get cooked. The other's just average as hell. You're asking them to be the primary defenders on Chris Paul and Devin Booker? Nah, man. You're doing Phoenix a favor like that, man. So I think this offseason I will make I guess, rebuild video on what the Denver Nuggets could do after this season on how they should retool their roster. But in the meantime, you know, Denver, you have to look at yourselves and ask yourself, did we make the mistake of letting Torrey Craig and Gary Harris go? Because Aaron Gordon's a really good defender, and I think that was a great pickup. But not even he could fix the woes of this Denver defense, and also mainly for the fact that their perimeter defense gets shredded every single time. That's why Denver scrambles a lot and they leave guys open for threes. And there were a couple times in both games 2 and 3 where a shooter was just wide open. Like he was so wide open, he could just ran to the bathroom, ran to that same spot, demand and just picked up that basketball and shot the three, and he would have made it. So that was one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why Denver has so much defensive woes, because they keep getting broke down every time, and they don't have a good glue defender. They let that go in Gary Harris, and they let that go in Torrey Craig. So that explains their problems. And Millsap is getting old too. I don't really know why they're playing. Actually, I understand why they're playing him, and they're giving him reasonable minutes. So I guess that's not much of an issue, but a 47-year-old Paul Millsap, he can't keep up with this young, fast-paced Phoenix Suns team. I'm sorry, he just can't. So that is my take on the Denver Nuggets. And can I talk about the Phoenix Suns? Because I feel like a lot of people, especially Laker fans, and I'm a Laker fan, but I have to give my respect where it's due. Phoenix is a Cinderella team, and they're probably having one of the best runs that I've seen. And Chris Paul is having one of his best postseason runs since the Houston Rockets days. And not a lot of people are giving him credit for that, because they wiped out the LA Lakers in 6 games, and the LA Lakers are the defending champions. And a lot of people are saying, well, oh, AD was hurt. Which, yeah, if AD were healthy, we would have genuinely beat this team. But LeBron said it best, that the roster was not fully healthy and there was not enough continuity with this Laker team. So even if everyone were healthy, I don't exactly know if they would beat the Suns. And if they did beat the Suns, I don't know if it would be like convincingly. It would be like a last second game winning shot or game tying shot that missed by Phoenix. You know what I mean? It's just that Phoenix has a lot more continuity. They have a lot of dogs on that team, like Torrey Craig, Jay Crowder, Cameron Payne, of all people. I want to rave about Cameron Payne because bro was literally Russell Westbrook's handshake partner in his first 2 years with Oklahoma City. He was called trash by the Chicago Bulls coaching staff. And now he's a legit contender for Sixth Man of the Year. Or at least in these playoffs, he's played like a legit contender for Sixth Man of the Year. That's how far he's come. And he's done a lot of great work helping CP3 get his usual rest. And Cameron Payne has just been instant offense for the Suns team. And Torrey Craig and Jay Crowder, they're really good physical defenders. They know, what the hell they know what the hell they're doing, as opposed to the Denver Nuggets defense, but they're absolute dogs, and they can give any team with their best player. I mean, they certainly did with LeBron. Jay Crowder gave LeBron a lot of trouble in that game 6. And Torrey Craig basically held his own whenever he was in the game. You feel me? And like I said, both teams in the Lakers Sun series were considerably hurt. AD being the most noticeable, or being the most important. And Chris Paul was hurt, but it wasn't as critical as people made it out to be. Like a lot of people say, oh, this may be another injury for Chris Paul that'll keep him out for the rest of the year. No, it wasn't like that at all. But this Suns team, playing the way they are, they have a legit case to beat any great or championship caliber team, because they have a really well-rounded coach in Monty Williams. They obviously have one of the best leaders in Chris Paul, who has really not even come close to making it this far since 2018 when he was with James Harden and the Rockets. And then you have a lot of dogs on the team outside of Chris and Devin, like Jay Crowder and Torrey Craig, Mikal Bridges, who is very athletic, and he's a really good 3-point shooter and an excellent defender. And DeAndre Ayton is actually playing up to expectation. You feel me? In his rookie year, he averaged 16 a game. His second year averaged 18.2. And his third year, he only averaged 14 a game. Now, that's because he had a much more diminished role because, of CP3 on the team. But in these playoffs, he looked like he's finally playing up to expectation. Now, he didn't have the greatest 2 games ever against the Lakers in games 5 and 6, but those two were blowouts. But in the first 4 games of the Lakers series, he averaged a total of I think it was 19 a game. Let me calculate that for a second. Yeah, so he nearly averaged 20 a game, or exactly 19.8 a game. And then his 2 8-point games just, plummeted him plummeted him back down to earth. But DeAndre Ayton played better than a lot of people expected. And outside of what the box score tells you, he's playing much more impactful, and he is bodying Jokic, and he's making it difficult for Jokic. And now I know Jokic had 32, 20, and 15, or I think that was the exact stat line, but DeAndre Ayton is making it hard for this Denver Nugget offense, and obviously the defense of guys like Jay Crowder and Torrey Craig and Mikal Bridges are making it hard for Denver. So DeAndre is knowing his role, and so far he's played like a number 1 pick, but at the same time he hasn't. But, you know, he's played like a pretty damn good player. And another thing about this Phoenix Suns team, it reminds me a lot of what the Miami Heat did last year with Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and all those guys going off in the bubble. And to a certain extent, it's kind of like what the Portland Trailblazers did, because nobody expected those 2 teams to win either, nor they expected them to make it as far as they did. Remember, Portland made the conference finals, which I predicted that they would get swept by the Golden State Warriors because Steph and Clay just owned Dame and CJ in every possible playoff matchup. So I did predicted the sweep, which did indeed happen. And then I did not think Miami would make the conference finals at least. I thought they would lose against Milwaukee, but because of their wall defense and they had the personnel to build the wall around Giannis Antetokounmpo, uh, Miami was able to take out the Milwaukee Bucks, and they were able to make light work of them, and I picked them to win the conference finals against Boston. And it's the same thing here. Like, nobody in the world outside of Suns fans expected the Phoenix Suns to beat the defending champions. Now, like I said, yes, AD was hurt and it did not help us. We did not have enough but we have to remember, this Phoenix Suns team has a lot of continuity. You feel me? And their players gelled more, and they were the healthier team than the Lakers. Because, like I said, LeBron said that Laker team was not even the healthiest, and that's probably. And it's also a reason why the Lakers were eliminated in 6 games as well. So, yes, AD being hurt did not help our case, but the Phoenix, let's just face it. Let's be honest. The Phoenix Suns played better team defense. They kept moving the ball, and the guys were just struggling from the field. It wasn't like we played our best defense against the Suns either, even in our 2 wins, because that was just more their players not hitting shots against us. All right? But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the Phoenix Suns right now. The Phoenix Suns are a Cinderella team, and kudos to them if they can beat the Clippers and make the NBA Finals. Because, personally, as much as I want to see the Clippers win against the Utah Jazz, because I love Kawhi and I love Rondo, and they have a lot of players on that team I like, I still want the Utah Jazz to beat them because it'll make me feel better. But if they somehow win, I would root for the Phoenix Suns. I really do, because look, this Phoenix Suns team, they were a 2nd seed and they were not expected to play as well as they are right now. And they absolutely exceeded expectations throughout the whole season. And you have to credit guys like Chris Paul and Jay Crowder and Torrey Craig and obviously Sarge, who has been there with Philly. These guys have been in playoff scenarios before. They've been in home winner go home games and all that. So the leadership of especially Chris Paul is why Phoenix has more of a winning culture now. I mean, they ain't the second seed for no reason. A lot of people that I know are discrediting the Phoenix Suns for being a second seed, when in reality we shouldn't be. Phoenix is a great team, and we should start giving the Phoenix Suns credit and stop writing them off as frauds just because they took out the defending champion Lakers in 6 games. Let's start giving the Phoenix Suns their respect too. So that's my take on this Nuggets Sun series, and I do feel like this is a whole lot of me rambling about things I know, but then again, I think I know basketball when I really don't. I'm just a casual fan. But no, seriously. Do I think the series is over for Denver? Well, based on the title with the oh so funny pun, I do believe it is. But at the same time, this is a testament about the Phoenix Suns and how they should, not be disrespected, and how people are disrespecting them, and they're proving a lot of NBA fans wrong. And I'm really happy for this Phoenix Suns team, and they are growing on me. So to every Phoenix Suns fan, I know you had 11 years of mediocrity. You had 1 year where you were really, really close to making the playoffs, but the Dallas Mavericks just said, nope, we are taking that from you. But, this Phoenix Suns team has a bright future, and if they keep this up, they might be a player or two away from being an actual championship contender. So let's give the Phoenix Suns the credit they deserve. And for the Denver Nuggets, they have a lot of work to do in this upcoming offseason. Like, give this team some defensive help, because the offense will be fine as long as you have Jamal Murray healthy and MPJ being more consistent. But their main problem is their defense. Like, getting guys like, maybe get Gary Harris back, maybe get an Otto Porter or Avery Bradley. But that is another video for another time after the season. So that's really all I have to say about this series. And, the writing's on the wall. And I know game 4, like I said, of the Suns Nuggets series is today, but I might as well make this video while I still have time. But congrats to Jokic for winning MVP. I'm sorry that his season had to, go to shit like this. But congratulations to the Phoenix Suns. So yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Share this video, comment, whatever the hell has to happen. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.